Alright, welcome back to the show. We are talking about high school basketball players and why they can't enter the NBA draft, or why they should be able to enter the NBA draft very soon. Since 2006, the NBA has prohibited players that are 18 and under from entering the NBA, and they must play at least 1 year of semi-professional basketball or professional basketball or college basketball to be able to enter the NBA draft. So during the collective bargaining agreement of 2006, the league wanted to institute this age requirement, but the players did not, which I find very interesting because I would imagine that the players would be the one that want to institute an age requirement because they don't want young guys coming in and taking their jobs. But this is not the case. But why would the league care? Why would the league want young guys to wait a year before coming into the NBA and start making money for the NBA? Well, the NBA said the guys were coming in too early and they were squandering their talents when they weren't ready. So they wanted them to go international or play in college to develop their skills. That's very considerate of the NBA to be so concerned about the players' careers. And that is why I am not buying this. All they really did was take away the freedom a player would have to join the NBA at whatever time he wants, and they also take away the freedom a team would have for taking a risk on a high school basketball player, a guy that just graduated high school, just finished biology class, now playing in the NBA. That would be the team's risk to take, but now it's gone. Billy Donovan, the current Chicago Bulls coach and the former Florida Gators men's basketball team coach, has been very critical of this rule from the jump. He had a player named Vernon Macklin on his Florida Gators team who he said was probably ready for the NBA right after high school, but instead he went to Georgetown and then transferred to Florida and eventually made his way into the NBA draft in 2011. Donovan said that his trajectory was flattened, being that he competed against college basketball players. This did not serve him. Another point that Donovan brings up, being that he's been a coach of 2 NBA teams and a college team, is that the NCAA doesn't have the time to nurture a player's talents. They only have half the year to coach a player, and if that player doesn't come in during the offseason, they can't touch him. Being an NBA player, on the other hand, is a full-time job, and there is a full-time staff there to develop your skills. So who would possibly benefit from having this one and done rule? Why would they have an age requirement? It's the NCAA, of course, and let's operate under the assumption that there was no nefariousness between the NCAA and the NBA. This is wildly fortunate for the NCAA. Now you have players like Derrick Rose, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant joining the NCAA because that's their only option, and now the NCAA can make money off of their names, their image, their likeness. So the NCAA kind of fell ass backwards into a very good situation. Say what you will about Ben Simmons, but I believe he is the ultimate person that should have gone to the NBA directly. Instead, he went to LSU, an organization that didn't have the coaching staff or the development staff to really get him where he needed to go. He was an exceptional player, but he went to a mediocre basketball team. LSU is not known for basketball anymore since Shaquille O'Neal and Pete Maravich. He went there and he only had 28% control in most of LSU's possessions. That didn't even crack the top 100 of NCAA players. The LSU staff didn't really know what to do with Ben Simmons. They didn't really know how to develop him. Had Ben Simmons gone to University of Kentucky or maybe even Duke, some other college that had experience with one and dones, they probably could have developed him better. But going to LSU, it was kind of a squandered year for Ben Simmons, but he was still the #1 pick in the draft. And he was also the rookie of the year when it was his rookie year. So the main argument for players not being able to enter the NBA draft after high school is the fact that they might be overzealous and they might not be ready to play against NBA players because they haven't been playing against quality competition. I think a solid case against this is that the first players to come out of high school were Kevin Garnett, Jermaine O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, and Tracy McGrady. 3 of these guys are Hall of Famers, and Jermaine O'Neal, his career was solid enough that I can say this point still stands. These guys were good. They shouldn't have gone to college. They should have just gone to the NBA, which they did, and they tore it up. Obviously, there were busts. There was Kwame Brown, the first overall pick in 2001. Kwame averaged less than 7 points a game and less than 6 rebounds a game for his entire career. But my counterpoint to that is he had 12 seasons in the league. Kwame Brown played for 12 seasons. That's an incredible career. And there are busts that did go to college. Look at Anthony Bennett and Markelle Fultz. Both of them have had pretty underwhelming careers if you look at them. No disrespect to those guys, but busts happen. #1 picks aren't always the best player, and that has nothing to do with whether they went to college or not. Bleacher Report did a study on the 2007 draft class. This would be the first class impacted by the one and done rule. They looked at Kevin Durant and Greg Oden, the top prospects, and they were not affected by going to college. Their draft rank remained the same. Mike Conley, on the other hand, his draft rank went up from going to college, which makes sense because a 19-year-old basketball player is going to be demonstrably better than an 18-year-old basketball player just based on how the human body develops and the human brain develops. So I think Katie and Greg Oden are the exceptions that proves the rule. Out of this whole class, I think those two would have been the ones that benefited from going to the league early because it didn't really matter. They were great college players, they were great high school players, and they were ready for the NBA. I believe all the NBA did by instituting this rule was stifle the career earnings of these young players. Interestingly, now that there are so many alternatives to playing college basketball, like the OTE League, the G League Ignite, or international leagues, the league is considering getting rid of this age requirement. Sorry NCAA fans, but there's going to be even more competition for elite high school prospects. The CBA opt-out has extended till February, so we should know in February if we're still going to have an age requirement for the draft. If they choose to get rid of the age requirement, the first draft that will be impacted is the 2024 NBA draft. And if you're like me, you think, how does this affect Bronny James? Well, it doesn't. It doesn't affect Bronny James because Bronny is graduating this year, so either way, he's going to have to do a year of college basketball. What about Bryce James? Bryce James graduates in 2025, which is kind of weird that I know when a high schooler I'm not related to is graduating, but he is on the trajectory to go straight to the NBA just like his dad, so I think it would be pretty cool if LeBron and his two sons were all in the NBA at the same time. I don't know if you're a LeBron fan like me, but I think that'd be awesome, and if you're not a LeBron fan, you probably are pretty annoyed by this part of the video. Overall, if you've watched this channel a lot, you know I'm pretty happy about the different options players have when it comes to their basketball careers after high school. They can go to the OTE League, start making money. They can try to make the G League Ignite team. They can also go to college and learn about something they're interested in while making money with name, image, likeness deals. So that's pretty cool. I think for a long time, there were a lot of people exploiting these young players just because they didn't have a better option or they didn't know any better, and I think that time is over. In conclusion, I'm hoping in February we get the good news that the freak athletes of America's high schools are now eligible to enter the NBA draft. I'm talking the likes of Tyson Chandler, Amari Stoudemire, and Dwight Howard. I think that would be really cool. That's how I feel. Ultimately, I'm all about freedom, all about options. I'm all about letting people do what they want to do and not prohibiting them from making money. But thanks for being here. Much love. Eat a corn dog. I haven't said that in a while, and be good to your mothers.